depend on Him, and here He is again. So we're thankful for Him. We're thankful He actually brought His father right into the village here where we live. So from now on, I'm sure he'll be around. So we're thankful that He's here tonight. Okay. This is Ruth and Polston, and I'm going to play a song that I think you'll like. Great is Thy faithfulness. Comforting. Faithful is He who calls you, who also will do it. Had a long talk with my granddaughter tonight, and it just seemed like the Lord blessed us together and brought our hearts at peace, that we could just know that God is faithful. So tonight, that's what I want to talk to you about it. But actually the name of it is The Laugh of Faith. Now that didn't look very spiritual, does it? Sometimes when you've waited a long time, I've had a lot of prayers answered. But you know, I still have some that aren't. And they are big ones. And sometimes the big ones take a lot of time. And that's when we have to wait. Wait on the Lord. Wait on Him. I think I'm better at waiting than I used to, but I'm still not as good as I ought to be. But I'm in the waiting room. And sometimes I feel like I'm the very last patient. And then Mr. Goodfield comes in and I feel better just already, just because he's here. I feel better when God shows up. Well, what I would want to share with you tonight, Abraham is about the most faithful man, and he's probably the most outstanding man for faith in the Bible. They give his resume in the New Testament, because he was so full of faith. And God said to him, he was in a country that all they had was pagan gods, and God said, Abraham, get out. I'm going to take you someplace, and there's only one God. And the Bible said he didn't even tell him where to go. But you know what Abraham did? He packed his bags. He said, okay, come on, Sarah. Come on, Lot. And then his father kind of tagged along, and that's the way things were in those days. Anyway, along they went. And you know, God didn't still tell him where he was going. The Bible said he just went out not knowing where. And you know, sometimes when you start serving the Lord, you don't know where he's going to take you. I've been doing some deep cleaning in my apartment. It needed it. Run across a lot of things, a lot of places that my husband and I were, places I never dreamed we'd go. And I thought, God, I never knew this, that someday we would be doing those things. But we just started out as kids. My husband did tell me in the beginning, he said, God has something great planned. But I didn't know what it was. Well, God had something great for Abraham too. And you know, whether we know it or not, that old man affected us. And sometimes the step that you take with God will affect generations and generations to come. And so here he is, he's going. And finally they had a few years, about 5, that he stopped over and saw an uncle and everything, Uncle Laban, and his daddy didn't want to go any farther. Well, that was the Lord. Because the Bible said he called him alone. Wouldn't we like to take a bunch of with us when God's got something big on our plate? But sometimes it's not that way. We have to go alone in the beginning. And it got bigger and bigger. Because he said, okay, go this way, and then go this way. And that happened to be the land of Israel today. Yeah, isn't that interesting? And so God said, this land will I give you. But he said, I'm not going to give it to him for 400 years. Oh, you mean I'm back in the waiting room again? Yeah. Well, he said, we're just getting acquainted. I know. But he said, after the 400 years, he said, they'll be visited by a cruel Lord. And that was Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, we know, was brought under by Moses. And Moses said, let my people go. And are they gone? Yeah, that's right. They went. But he was in the waiting room when he got over there, and he was going through the land, and you always knew where he'd been. He'd never lived anything but tents. That's the way they did in those days. And they always knew where he'd been because there was an altar. Isn't it good that people know you where you've been? Yeah, because you build altars there. You know, I just feel like I have to have my altar every day. Every day I have to have an altar with God. And you know, he just kept walking through the land. And one day God said to him, Abraham, he said, you see those stars up there? Uh-huh. I put those there, yeah. And there are galaxies behind the ones you were seeing. Wow. He said, that's the way I'm going to make your seed. You said, well, you called me out here? Mm-hmm. He said, see that sand? Count it. Count it. Lord, you can't. He said, that's the way your seed's going to be. And Abraham was so excited. But you know, it didn't happen right away. He had to go back to the waiting room. And when he went back to the waiting room, Sarah, now you got to be a man has to be careful when he listens to his wife because maybe she doesn't have the same thought that he did. So she was anxious for a baby. And you know, there was a law with it in those days that had to be born in your house. And God said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you somebody born in your house. And so he said, well, That's wonderful. But where is he? Now, I want to tell you something. God gives his best calls, his highest calls, to people that are no air people. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But it wasn't. It was hard. It was hard for Sarah. Because, okay, Abraham, I believe you, but where's the baby? Well, they went down into Egypt. When they came back, they brought a Hagar, and they also brought a child. But no, not yet. Brought a child, but they brought Hagar back. And she was a slave. Well, Hagar said, I'm just getting tired of waiting. So, I tell you what, you take Hagar. Because God said somebody born in our house. And if he's born in our house, maybe that's the way it's supposed to go. So it's kind of help yourself, doesn't it, to me? It does to me. So they made their plans, and he said, what do you think about that, Abraham? And he said, well, I'm a team player, and whatever works. So he had the baby. And the baby's name was Ishmael. Well, do you know what? It wasn't God's plan. And so what? Tension. Ooh, if you don't have God's plan and you've chosen your own plan, you know what happened? Tension. Tension between Abraham, Sarah, Hagar, and Ishmael. They were all at each other's throats. Finally, he said, that's not going to work. That was our plan, Sarah. Sarah said, I know it and I don't like it. And so she said, send her away. That really hurt him because he'd grown to love Ishmael. But anyway, here she is. She's out there, and they left water with her and some provisions, but it didn't last very long, and she laid down. And do you know what? God had mercy on her. And right there, an angel came, and he had things for her to eat, and things and water for her child. And God did make a great nation out of Israel. But here they are now, they're back home again, looking at each other in the face. Well, now they had to wait 13 years. 13 years? That's a long time. They've waited a long time. God doesn't say, now, okay, it's 8:30. God doesn't have a time clock. No, he is God. He's always been. He always will be. We do. We have our time set. I had a time set for Craig to get here tonight, and he did. He's at the door at 6 o'clock. So we live on a time capsule, but not our God. So God could wait it out. Well, do you know, poor old Abraham, he was 100 years old. And some people came down, and there were 3 of them. He was tired, he was weary. And he was waiting under a tree, oak tree. And he saw them coming. Well, it was pretty boring. So he said, oh, stay and eat with me. And he ran out and he got the best calf and he got him. He said, Sarah, hurry up. Let's get the best we've got and let's serve these people. I don't think we're going to finish this tonight. And we're not going to get to that laugh of faith. So you just say, God, what am I waiting for? What can I laugh about? Well, next week we'll go with part 2. And we'll see how Abraham laughed. Sarah did too, but her laugh was different. So next week, I'll see you then. God bless. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful year. Happy New Year's to you. And I just thank you for listening, and I pray that you shall listen again. Great is thy faithfulness.